Now Sara Brady is saying if she had it to do all over again, she would have just stayed home. CBS 2's Trevor Fay was there this afternoon for her very public apology.
I'm on edge from the constant stress of children and trying to tend to their needs, of being bored and cooped up along with other responsibilities. However, this is not an excuse for my behavior and my part in what happened. While I can't go back in time and change what's happened, but the truth is I'm very sorry I let my frustrations get the better of me that day.
Sara Brady is trying everything she can to make amends with the Meridian Police Department. After dealing with the fallout from her arrest this week, she just wants to put this behind her. After her speech, she tried leaving a letter of apology for the arresting officer, but the lobby was closed. In her letter to the police department, Sara wrote that she had nothing to do with the protesters showing up at officers' homes and that she does not support or condone those actions in any way. More than anything, Brady says she's concerned with how out of control the protesting crowds have become since her arrest. She makes clear that she doesn't want Meridian police officers to suffer any more harassment. Right now, she says the world has bigger problems to deal with, and she hopes to put the past in the past.
The reality of the situation is that I have been stuck at home for the last 5 weeks, and as the rest of America has also watching this great nation and our God-given rights crumble before my eyes. I let the stress of me being in a house with 4 young kids, one with special needs, get the best of me.
Across the Treasure Valley anxious to reopen their doors. Nampa's mayor says she's also heard that from businesses in her city. CBS 2's Haley Kramer talked to Mayor Debbie Kling today about her message to businesses planning to not follow the governor's timeline.
Well, it's putting us in an awkward position, candidly. Cities and city leadership are in a very awkward position because we have a state order that the cities that are touching the people, it's our law enforcement, it's our citizens that we're having to come up with the compliance side on it.
Mayor Debbie Kling and the city of Nampa want you to follow the state's guidelines and stay-at-home order. But due to limited resources, they're choosing to educate rather than strictly enforce.
Our goal is to have a safe and healthy community where the people prosper. And with that, we want to educate our businesses on how to operate safely, but we really don't want to be fighting with our citizens. We want to be educating because we need everybody on the same team to fight the virus.
The city will not be issuing criminal citations to businesses that open after May 1st. But if a business decides to open ahead of the governor's timeline, the city will check in and make sure they're following health guidelines and provide information about what they should be doing.
Our hope is they're going to do the right thing. If businesses do not follow the guidelines, they blatantly disregard them, then there is the potential of a citation. I think one thing that's important for people to know is that this, as a city and our local city enforcement, we have our guidelines and we're saying we're going to educate, but anyone that is issued a state license is still subject to the state licensing boards. And so please check with your state licensing, because while we may not shut them down, they may get shut down or lose a license because of opening ahead of the governor's timeline.
Haley Kramer, CBS 2 News.
And for families going through financial hardships, renting, yet alone owning a vehicle might not be an option. CBS 2's Erica Lee has more on a local car company doing good for the community.
For those going through economic hardships, Maverick Car Company is offering free short-term leases to individuals and families in need.
In the past, over, I'd say the past 5 years or so, we've had opportunities to help some folks out that were in need by giving them a car and provide transportation for folks that really needed it. And we found that in doing that, we were only able to help one family or individual at a time, and we wanted to find a way that we could do that on a little bit larger scale and help more families.
They recently shifted their approach to give vehicles on a 3-month basis and then make it available to someone else. The hope is that if they have that vehicle for the 3 months, they can use that resource and improve their situation and get back on their feet. And if you're wondering what the specific requirements are to qualify for a lease, Dawson says it's on a needs basis.
We do evaluate the different situations and look at who has the most need, and also the means for for taking good care of the vehicle and making the best use of the vehicle. So there aren't any specific requirements. Again, we're just looking to help folks out that really need it.
Maverick Car Company's hope is not only to help struggling families and individuals, but to also inspire others to pay it forward.
So our hope would be that others that hear about this or find out about it might be able to think to themselves, well, what resources do we have to be able to help those that are really struggling, and maybe be able to leverage the resources that they have as a company or organization to be able to do some good as well. We hope that it does have that kind of impact for other folks that they hear about this, but most importantly, we're excited to help some families that are struggling or might find themselves in even more difficult circumstances with everything that's going on.
On Friday, stay-at-home restrictions will begin to be loosened up. While the courts have been bogged down, they are ramping up. CBS 2's Erica Lee looks at what to expect.
The governor has a 4-phase plan to loosen the stay-at-home order, and that impacts local courts like Ada County.
Some of the important key pieces are that if folks are coming to the courthouse, they have to be wearing face masks. They cannot come into the courthouse if they're symptomatic, and everyone has to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing. In addition, there's an express preference that all hearings be conducted remotely, that is electronically, either by phone or by laptop.
Courts are included in Phase 1 of the plan, which begins on Friday, May 1st.
Technically speaking, they all kick in on Friday, and I don't know that there's so much relaxation in terms of how we're holding court. If anything, it ramps up the electronic proceedings.
Since the court is only reviewing the most urgent cases at the moment, Moody says they are preparing for the flood of cases coming up the best they can.
It's hard to prepare for a flood, isn't it? To the degree that one can prepare for a flood, we're definitely doing that. We are in communication every day with the public defenders, the prosecutors. We are even going to take Saturdays in the summer to have additional criminal court hearings to clear out the backlog. We're really paying attention to that.
And a warning for people who have not been following court orders issued by a judge: the coronavirus is not an excuse to ignore a judge's ruling.
In general, the message to the public is that court orders are to be followed, and there's nothing about the pandemic that has changed that directive.
Erica Lee, CBS 2 News.